Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. The story of humanity's relationship with psychoactive substances is as old as civilization, maybe even older. For millennia, this story was pieced together from ambiguous art and ancient texts. But today, the field of bioarchaeology is acting like a molecular detective, using sophisticated science to find direct chemical evidence of the drugs our ancestors used. This isn't just a history of intoxication. It's a journey into the ancient human mind, its spiritual yearnings, and its connection to the chemical keys hidden in the natural world. So how do scientists find traces of drugs consumed thousands of years ago? The primary method is called residue analysis. Imagine an ancient ceramic pot. Because it's porous, it can absorb and protect compounds from whatever it once held. Archaeologists carefully scrape these microscopic residues from pots, smoking pipes, and even the hardened dental plaque on ancient teeth. This material is then analyzed using incredibly precise techniques like gas chromatography mass spectrometry, or GCMS. Think of it as a molecular fingerprinting machine. It separates a complex mixture of molecules and identifies each one by its unique chemical properties. This is how scientists can definitively say that a specific pot held opium because they found its telltale biomarkers, the bane, papain, and morphine. Another revolutionary technique is analyzing human remains themselves, especially hair. As hair grows, it incorporates chemicals from the bloodstream, creating a timeline of a person's substance use. A few strands of ancient hair can reveal which drugs someone consumed months or even years before they died. Of course, this work is challenging. Contamination from modern sources is a constant risk, so researchers use rigorous controls. And context is everything. Finding cannabis doesn't automatically mean people were getting high. The plant was also used for food and fiber. But when you find it in a ritual brazier in a tomb, the story becomes much clearer. Let's start our global tour of ancient highs in Europe, which holds some of the earliest evidence. At a Neolithic village called La Marmotta in Italy, dating back to the 6th millennium BCE, archaeologists found a massive collection of opium poppy capsules, suggesting it was one of the first places the plant was cultivated for its narcotic effects. But the most direct proof of drug use in Bronze Age Europe comes from a 2023 study in the Es Cartex cave in Menorca, Spain. Inside this burial cave, researchers found sealed wooden tubes holding locks of human hair from around 3,000 years ago. Chemical analysis of this hair was shocking. It revealed a cocktail of potent alkaloids, atropine, scopolamine, and ephedrine. These compounds come from plants like henbane, mandrake, and joint pine. This combination would have produced a powerful altered state, including delirium and out-of-body sensations. Researchers believe this wasn't medicine, but a potent mixture used by shamans in ritual ceremonies. These specialists would have known how to handle such toxic plants, using the trance state to communicate with the spirit world. Moving east to Asia, the story is deeply intertwined with ritual and trade. For years, we only had the writings of the Greek historian Herodotus, who described the Scythians of Central Asia inhaling cannabis vapor in funerary rites. Direct evidence finally came from the 2,500-year-old Jerzankul cemetery, high in the Pamir Mountains of western China. Archaeologists found wooden bowls or braziers with burnt residues inside. Analysis confirmed it was cannabis, but with a crucial detail. It had an unusually high concentration of the psychoactive compound THC. This wasn't just industrial hemp. These people were intentionally selecting or cultivating plants to get high. The context of lofty tombs and ritual objects suggests the cannabis smoke was used to communicate with the deceased during burial ceremonies. Elsewhere in Central Asia, bioarchaeology is helping solve the mystery of soma, a divine drink mentioned in ancient Indian and Zoroastrian texts. At 4,000-year-old temple sites in Turkmenistan, vessels have yielded residues containing not one, but 3 psychoactive plants: ephedra, opium poppy, and cannabis. This suggests soma was a powerful brew, combining the stimulant effects of ephedra with the narcotic and psychoactive properties of the other 2. Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, a 2024 study on dental calculus from a 4,000-year-old burial in Thailand provided the earliest direct evidence for chewing betel nut, revealing traces of the stimulating alkaloid aracholine on a molar. The ancient Americas were home to a vast pharmacopoeia of psychoactive plants central to spiritual life. The use of peyote, the small cactus containing mescaline, has an incredibly long history. At Shumla Cave No. 5 in Texas, archaeologists unearthed peyote buttons that were radiocarbon dated to over 5,700 years ago, and chemical analysis confirmed the presence of mescaline. This makes it one of the oldest continuously used psychoactive substances on record. But perhaps the most culturally significant substance is tobacco. For a long time, the oldest evidence was a 3,300-year-old pipe. That was shattered by a discovery at the Wishbone site in Utah's Great Salt Lake Desert. In a 12,300-year-old hearth from Ice Age hunter-gatherers, scientists found 4 charred seeds of a wild tobacco species. These people likely chewed or sucked wads of the plant, establishing tobacco use in the Americas thousands of years earlier than anyone thought. In South America, a diverse range of powerful hallucinogens was used. The potent psychedelic snuff, known as vilca or yopo, has been used for at least 4,000 years, with snuffing trays and tubes found in many ceremonial sites. And what about the famous Amazonian brew, ayahuasca? Direct evidence is tricky because it's a mix of at least 2 plants, but in a 1,000-year-old shaman's ritual pouch from the Bolivian Andes, scientists found an incredible toolkit: cocaine, tryptamines, and crucially, both the key vine and the DMT-containing plant matter needed to make an ayahuasca-like brew. Our tour ends in Africa and the Near East. Ancient Egypt had a celebrated relationship with the Egyptian blue water lily. More than just a symbol of rebirth seen in tombs like Tutankhamun's, the lily contains psychoactive alkaloids. It's believed the flowers were infused into wine, creating a relaxing, entheogenic drink consumed at parties and religious festivals. Perhaps the most ancient evidence of all comes from the Tessili Niger Plateau in the Algerian Sahara. Here, rock art from up to 9,000 years ago shows stunning images that strongly suggest mushroom use. One famous painting depicts a shaman-like figure whose body is covered in mushrooms, while holding another. Many scholars interpret this as a ritual involving psilocybe mushrooms, hinting at a tradition of fungal hallucinogen use, reaching deep into the Stone Age. So we've seen what our ancestors used. But the biggest question remains: why? The overwhelming evidence points away from simple recreation and towards deeply significant cultural roles. Shamanism and religion are the most common threads. From Bronze Age Minorca to ancient China, psychoactive plants were seen as tools for divination and communication with gods and ancestors. Substances like peyote and ayahuasca are still used today in indigenous religious practices as sacred medicines. Funerary rites were another major driver. Cannabis, opium, and vilca snuff found in tombs suggest a belief that these substances could ease the passage of the deceased or allow the living to commune with them one last time. And of course, there was medicine. The line between spiritual and physical healing was often blurred. The Sumerians called the opium poppy the joy plant for its pain-relieving properties, and shamans used trance states to diagnose and cure illness. The bio-archaeology of psychoactive substances reveals that the human desire to alter consciousness is not a modern fad, but a deeply rooted ancient impulse. For millennia, our ancestors explored the world around them with incredible ingenuity, identifying plants that could heal their bodies, soothe their minds, and transport their spirits. This journey into our chemical past shows that these substances were not on the fringes of ancient society. They were often at its very center, embedded in the most sacred rituals and profound beliefs. By tracing these molecular ghosts through time, we gain a more nuanced understanding of our ancestors and, perhaps, a better perspective on our own species' long, complex, and enduring relationship with the planet's psychoactive pharmacopoeia. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online.